What's going on, you guys? It's Adam here with Anabolic Climbing, and today it's time to hop into the drama slop, join the internet holy war. Currently, if you guys aren't paying attention, it's Coach Greg, the Iago from Aladdin, the Gilbert Godfrey of the fitness industry versus Coach Kolton, Kolton Luke's friend of the channel, and we're going to hop in to talk about Kolton's leaked TRT protocol. So, if you guys like these kinds of breakdowns of other famous influencers and coaches and their protocols, please hit the like, subscribe, and alert. It helps the channel out tremendously. So without further ado, let's go talk into it. So first off, a little bit of table dressing here. I want to put my biases out on the table. Number one, Kolton is the first coach to actually go over some of my protocols for climbing. So to say that I am biased is a massive understatement. Number two, I work with Kolton. I work with On Wellness. They're a partner of the channel, which is Kolton's TRT clinic. I just want to put out all my biases up front. But with all of those biases, and even though I view him, at least as it goes to pharmacology, as a mentor and a teacher, I want to break down this protocol as unbiasedly as possible so that we can learn something and figure out what we can learn as climbers from this TRT protocol. So let's kick it off at the top. 150 milligrams of testanante split up 3 times per week. Obviously, you guys know that I pin daily, but 150 milligrams of test is bang on in the TRT reference range. Not even TRT plus, just plain old TRT. Now, when I posted this on Instagram, the thing that drew the most amount of eyebrow raising, to my surprise, was actually the 40 milligrams a day of Nebivolol. And I understand. Most people, myself included, if they're going to take a long-acting beta blocker like Nebivolol, are going to run it at around 2.5 to 5 milligrams. Personally, I also run Nebivolol at 2.5 milligrams per day. So when I saw 40 milligrams, I was like, ooh, goddamn. But I also want to contrast that with the 20 milligrams of propranolol. Propranolol. There is no other compound I suck at saying more than propranolol. Jesus, this is bad. So in contrast, 20 milligrams of prop, which is all I'm going to say at this point because it's bad, not the compound, my pronunciation, is actually the lowest therapeutic dose for propranolol, whereas Nebivolol, 40 milligrams, is the upper dose. Don't believe me? Take a look at the FDA guidelines. 5 to 40 milligrams is the reference range. So most people saw 40 milligrams of Nebivolol being on 2.5 to 5 and thought, Jesus Christ, why I would die. Is your resting heart rate at 0? What's going on? And no, I happen to know Kolton's resting heart rate. It's in the 50s. He does a bunch of cardio. But the reason for the high-dose beta blockers is as follows. Number one, he had some negative cardiac remodeling from his androgen abuse and gear use when he was bodybuilding. He has, I believe, some slight thickening in one of his ventricles, and he's trying to use the beta blockers to undo and basically relax the heart so that it can mildly atrophy so that the thickening stops so that it can go back to normal use. He also does a bunch of kickboxing and a bunch of cardio, all in the hopes of, A, he does kickboxing because he fucking loves it, but B, he does cardio to try to attenuate some of the negative aspects of the gear use he had when he was younger. 5 milligrams of minoxidil, on the higher end of the oral minoxidil range, but still within reference range. 5 milligrams of Retta, not technically a pharmacologically known dose, or standard dose rather, but it's still very much within. I think it's slightly between the beginning dose and the intermediate dose. Super common within the bodybuilding circles to be at 5 milligrams of Retta. 50 milligrams of modafinil is needed. I think that's on the lower end of modafinil if my memory serves. 5 milligrams of Cialis/tadalafil, that's what I take. That is the lowest therapeutic dose. 0.5 milligrams of dutasteride, again, on the aggressive side. Both minoxidil and dutasteride and GHK are probably around hair care. The GHK, 5 milligrams is a pretty aggressive dose. I also still hate pinning it, same thing I always say. But all in all, the GHK is the only thing that I've seen here that's on the upper ending of the dose so far. Usually when folks dose GHK, it's at around 2 milligrams a day. But he's been taking this, I believe, for over a year or two. And I think the toxicity goes up to around 70 milligrams a day. So still well within tolerable ranges. 10 milligrams of methylene blue. I have not looked heavily into methylene blue, but I still believe that 10 milligrams is within the traditional dosing. I actually think that's within the therapeutic dosing of the FDA-approved guidelines for whatever specific thing methylene blue is approved for. I don't remember. I don't mess with nootropics. You guys know how I feel about that. Here was the thing that I talked about on Instagram that I found the most interesting, and I'm going to have a follow-up to this later. 200 milligrams of SLUPP332. Now, I have said for a while that I think that this is going to be the breakout compound for rock climbers of 2026. So far, I've been proven correct. But I have only run this up to 20 milligrams at a time. Our boy Kolton is running it at 200. Now, what's interesting about this? Well, if you guys don't remember, SLUPP332 is an estrogen receptor beta-2 agonist. I believe it's a signaling molecule, and what it'll do is it will transition most of your energy efficiency toward fats away from carbs, which is great if you're in a ketogenic diet. And it'll also increase the efficiency of your cardiac output. So the way that this translates in mice and in humans that I have seen take it, present company included, is that you will basically have better cardiovascular output. When I'm on the assault bike, I can go 30% longer. When I'm doing routes, I have more gas toward the top of the route. It allows me to chain harder moves together more consistently without gassing out. I believe Kolton is interested in it both for the kidney protective qualities, and he thinks that it's going to have positive cardiac outcomes. I want to do some table dressing on that because I think it's important. Even though I think it's going to be the breakout compound for climbing in 2026, and I stand by it, there are a lot of unknowns. We do not, as of right now, have long-term data on this compound. I say this every time. However, all of the data that I have seen on SLU has been remarkable, seriously. My lab work has improved, kidney markers have improved, insulin sensitivity and A1C have all improved on SLU. Even as low as 500 micrograms twice a day, and also on 20 milligrams daily. I have not seen his labs on 200 milligrams of SLU, but I spoke to him a little bit earlier in the week, and in a couple of weeks when he gets a cardiac scan, he's going to share some of the details with me to see if he has improved some of the ventricular thickness or thickening that he has experienced in his bodybuilding career, which would be incredible. For context, I have ran SLU for about 6 months, and when I had my EKG and my calcium scan, my calcium score is a big fat 0, which is what you want to see. There is no plaque buildup in my heart. And on my EKG, my heart is so attractive, so photogenic that my sonographer said I should model, which is a compliment I wish for everybody. My God, I legitimately blushing. Last up is 2,000 IUs of HCG split into 3 doses, 3x a week. That's a lot of HCG. I believe typically what you'll find is, I think it's 330 IUs per week, which I believe up to 500 is usually the dosing that I see in fertility protocols. So to go basically 4x is pretty aggressive. But he had pituitary issues even prior to going enhanced from some of the trauma from the military. So for him trying to brute force overclock it, I assume is in service of trying to recover some pituitary function that has been damaged due to some military service. Again, bro, thanks for the service for the country. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart. All of that to say, never copy an influencer's protocol. Never copy my protocols for that matter. Your protocols, when you're making them, need to work in 2 different ways, right? They need to work for now, and they need to work for you. Would 40 milligrams of Nebivolol work for almost anyone in my audience? Almost certainly not. It's brutally overkill, but he has specific instances and conditions that make it a viable option. Is 5 milligrams of Retta good for most of the folks out there? Probably not. I think a starting dose would probably go a long way for most folks. And to just jump immediately to 5 milligrams because Kolton's on it is a fool's errand. Could 5 milligrams of Cialis be viable for you? Oh, fuck yeah. Provided that your blood pressure is within the normal range, I think that it could give you better pumps, better workouts, and better nutrient delivery to your tendons because of the vasodilation. Is 200 milligrams of SLU a lot? Oh, fuck yeah, man. I've never even considered running it that high. But as I was making some of this content, a gentleman hopped in my Discord server talking about running 1 to 2 grams of SLU every day for over a year. God damn, dude. You want to talk about thoughts I never thought to think? Running grams of SLU daily. Jesus Christ. Dude basically has like a protein tub's worth of SLU in his fridge. Woof, woof. Intense, man. But I say all that to say that you got to build protocols that work for you. Is TRT something that's viable for you right now? Maybe it is for a health phase. Could you be running a TRT plus? Yeah, maybe if you're a climber, maybe that makes sense. Is growth hormone a thing that agrees with you or not? Is Anavar a compound that agrees with you or not? All of these are going to be specific to you as someone that chooses to experiment. And just copying someone or something because either they're doing it or the literature says so, just because it works for someone else doesn't mean it works for you. It needs to work right now, and it needs to work for you. Anyway, if you guys are interested in getting some medical oversight for your TRT protocols, you guys can obviously work with On Wellness, brought to you by Kolton Lukes, and use code climbing for a discount. You can also go to Anabolic Insights for labs as well. But regardless, if you guys are interested in TRT, I highly recommend checking out On Wellness. And yeah, no matter what you're doing, stay safe out there, man. Medical supervision is highly encouraged, especially when you're starting out. So, and just in general, making sure you have some medical oversight is important. So without any more continuing, I just wanted to say thank you guys. Thanks to Kolton for sharing this information with us and for teaching me, and by extension us, a tremendous amount about pharmacology. And yeah, I'm Adam with Anabolic Climbing. As always, wishing you guys good luck, happy sending, and stay safe out there. See you in the next one.